Welcome back to the VEROSCOPE channel, where we're running through the trial of Donna Adelson, and on the witness stand is Wendi, and we're going to be listening to her. We're almost an hour in. We're doing the forensic linguistics of her examination and cross-examination, and we're finding the different patterns. If you're new to the trial, Dan Markel was murdered. He was shot in the head twice by hitmen, and the hitmen were organized by Wendy's brother Charlie in the middle there, and her mother Donna, whose trial this is that we're going to be watching. So let's play a little bit of the actual examination and cross-examination itself, and then we'll go back to the VEROSCOPE analysis where we'll find her lies and deceptions.
Some of the voices on there.
I was able to authenticate the voices of my family.
All right, so Charlie Adelson, Donna Adelson, Harvey Adelson.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and did you initial on State's Exhibit?
By the way, two things. The trial channel, please do subscribe to them. They're absolutely brilliant. They do an awful lot of the editing and take away all of the sidebars and the waiting around. And also, if you get a chance, do subscribe to the VEROSCOPE channel and take a look at the membership section, where we're going into formal detail, learning about forensic linguistics and statement analysis. And if that is new to you and you haven't yet learned that as a skill set, it's a wonderful skill to have. It essentially allows you to connect your gut feeling as to why you think the person is lying to you, why they're being dishonest, why they're deceiving you. It allows you to connect your gut feeling to the actual pinpointed techniques that they're using. You only have to look in the comments on the VEROSCOPE channel to see how many people are really getting this skill quickly. And the comments are absolutely fantastic. So do read the comments. Let's carry on with the transcript itself.
135 by each of those voices that you were able to identify.
I did.
Certainly can't read this, but
It's very small.
see if that's
Yes.
that's where you initial. Okay.
I did.
This time I'd ask to introduce State's Exhibit 135.
Any objection? I'm asking if there's an objection by the defense. State 135 is entered.
After the divorce was final, was there any more litigation between you and Dan Markel?
There was.
All right, and who was the first one to file something after the divorce was final?
I don't remember who was first to file.
Because you both filed some things afterwards, right?
Well, Danny was supposed to pay me for the deal with our settlement was I was supposed to take my name off the title to the house, and he was supposed to pay me half the value of the house. So I went that first week and took my name off the title and then just waited. And when I reached out, when it was time for him to pay what he owed, he said, "I'm not going to pay it." And I asked why, and he said, "I have my reasons." And so my attorney had to file to enforce the settlement agreement, because otherwise he was going to be held in contempt of court.
The court had given him a
This is a story that she likes to repeat. Those that know the actual facts, do put them in the comments.
deadline to make the payment, and he didn't make it.
He didn't make it.
So you filed a motion to enforce,
The settlement agreement.
and he filed a counter motion saying, well, I'm not paying because she's in violation for all these different things. Remember that?
I do, and then he accused my attorney of committing fraud.
Right.
Oh dear.
One of his big complaints was failure to facilitate the communication agreement, where I guess you all had some type of agreement to provide Skype calls with the kids to each other when you didn't have the children. Do you remember him complaining about that?
I do. I remember if I was 1 minute late, he would contact the parenting coordinator and complain that I was in violation.
That was a pretty regular complaint of his in this era of these filings, wasn't it?
Yes.
What, you mean you
And
were
when
always
he
late?
Sent an email, for example, 64N, alleging these sorts of violations, and including, quote, accusing you and your mother of making zero efforts to facilitate communication between he and the kids. Did you forward this email to your mother?
I don't remember if I did or not.
And during this time period, did Dan Markel send you quite a few emails pleading with you
I don't remember
to
if I did or not.
play nice? For example, March 7th of 2013, Wendi, I really regret that things have gotten to the place where they are. Do you think we could try to resolve more issues directly with each other to prevent so much of the unnecessary tension and cost? Things like that.
Yes.
Okay. But then you didn't seem to be able to actually play nice with each other, even though it seems like maybe that's both what you wanted, at least at certain points.
I was always trying to play nice.
Okay.
Well, you were threatening to hold him in contempt of court.
I wasn't threatening to hold him in contempt. That's what my lawyer filed. That's what happens
Well,
when
your
you...
lawyer represents you, doesn't she, Mrs. Adelson?
She does, but I wasn't threatening him.
Did you cease all Skype communication between Dan Markel and the boys on March 12th of 2013?
I don't remember that, no.
Tab 54, please.
Oh dear, don't remember. Tab 54.
It looks like my attorney advised me to do that.
Did you cease all Skype conversations between Dan Markel and the boys?
Again, I don't remember. It's been a very long time. But if my attorney advised me to do it, then I probably did it.
Okay.
Don't remember,
And
probably.
the day that you filed
If I was
that
advised.
motion to enforce the marital settlement agreement and hold Dan Markel in contempt, see if I can find that. What was the date of that filing?
It looks like it was October 31st, 2013.
Was that the same date that you backed out of the contract to buy a house here in Tallahassee?
I don't remember if it was the same date, but at that point I didn't have the money I needed to buy the house.
Don't
because
remember
Danny
if it
didn't
was the
pay
same
what he was
date.
supposed to.
Okay, but you don't remember which day you backed out of buying the house.
I don't.
Look at the
Could it
facial
have been the
expression
same day
there.
that
Did you
this
believe
was
her?
filed? Halloween of 13.
It may have been.
Okay, and was it Charlie, your brother, who talked you out of buying the house?
No, I didn't have the money to buy the house.
So you don't remember him discussing that with you?
No.
Okay. And did your mom have a position one way or the other on whether you would buy the house?
She pulls that
I don't
face.
remember.
She couldn't play poker.
The image that I just
I don't
had
remember.
up there, was this image sent to you on October 31st? How did this get onto your cell phone dated October 31st?
So there she has a little tell. As we covered in the last video, major things in life you can remember. So all this rubbish from Wendi that she can't remember, these major events, she is strategic in her memory recall. And we're going to be running through exactly how she does that in the analysis today. But we still have a little bit more to play first. So we're doing it a bit like Columbo, where you watch the video first and then we see where she was lying and deceptive afterwards. See how many you can catch.
It looks like something my brother would have sent me at some point. I don't remember if it was what day it was, but I remember seeing that picture.
Okay, do you have any reason to dispute the metadata associated with it on your phone?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you recognize your brother in this photo?
I do.
And who's the woman he's pictured with here?
Katie.
Is that Catherine McBanoa?
Yes.
So did your brother at any time send you this picture? Not at any time. Did your brother on October 31st send you this picture and basically tell you not to buy the house because you weren't going to be living in Tallahassee much longer?
I don't remember him ever telling me not to buy the house or that I wasn't going to be living in Tallahassee. I really wanted to buy that house.
Do you remember, after all the drama with the Skype, asking your mom, let's see if I can find it here, to help you work on the Skype thing because it was becoming a real problem between you and Mr. Markel?
I honestly don't remember, but I see this email and I must have sent this.
And then a few months later, in February of 14, Mr. Markel files a motion to enforce marital settlement agreements, and that we've touched on that already. That was alleging that you committed fraud on the court during the original settlement. Remember that?
I do. I remember him saying that my attorney helped perpetrate a fraud.
He did. He suggested that the court should send a strong message to you about your malfeasance by awarding him the entirety of the assets that he alleged were undisclosed. Do you remember that?
I do.
And did your mom view that filing?
I don't remember.
Isn't that the one she responded to? We need a plan of attack. We need to aggravate him the way he's trying to aggravate you.
I remember we just looked at that. I just didn't remember what it was in response to.
Okay.
And did you respond to his allegations?
I wouldn't.
In court. In a court filing.
We must have responded in a court filing to that, because if someone accuses you of fraud,
No, we're
at
not.
that point, my
We're not
attorney
accusing
had to
you.
recuse herself, because she had to
She
be
likes
a
the
witness
third
in the
party.
case and to say that that didn't happen, and then I had to find a new attorney to represent me.
Okay, and did you do a filing in response to his counter motion to enforce the marital settlement agreement, alleging, and this is page 439 for court and counsel.
Okay, let's catch up with where we are on the actual analysis. So pattern 3, the systematic pattern around mother is what we're calling this one. So observe what occurs when questions involve Donna Adelson, Wendy's mother. Mother query 1, forwarding email, prosecutor. And when he sent an email alleging these sorts of violations and including, quote, accusing you and your mother of making zero efforts to facilitate communication between he and the kids, did you forward this email to your mother? I don't remember if I did or not. Okay, so we keep a note of how she's answering the mother queries. Mother query 2, mum's position on the house. Prosecutor, and did your mum have a position one way or the other on whether you would buy the house? I don't remember. Mother query 3, did mum view the filing? Prosecutor, and did your mum view that filing? I don't remember. Mother query 4, did mum move? Prosecutor, did your mum move around this time? I don't think so. Mother query 5, was Wendi added as a resident? And did your mum add you as a resident to the continuum on May the 16th of 2014? I don't remember that. So we have a pattern confirmed. We have complete correlation. There are more than 5, but let's stick to these 5 here. 5 queries about mother's knowledge or actions equals 5 instances of I don't remember or vague non-answers. So this correlation suggests systematic rather than random memory failure. If it was true, if it was real, some you might remember, some you might not. Some you remember better than others, some you clearly remember. But when you have a systematic, purposeful, strategic pattern, then it's deliberate, isn't it? And if it's deliberate, it's deception. And then we ask, why is she being deceptive? So we have information withholding and vague flexibility. Why this pattern is analytically significant. If Wendi genuinely couldn't remember these details about her mother, we would expect the amnesia to be random, wouldn't we? Some details forgotten, others remembered. That's how organic memory failure typically manifests. But Wendi shows complete amnesia correlation on all mother-related queries in this segment. So this pattern is more consistent with testimonial strategy than with organic memory failure. In other words, she's deliberately being deceptive and lying on the witness stand, in my opinion. And this is the forensic linguistic evidence to show that. And this is just this tiny section. Wendi effectively is deceptive everywhere, all of the time. But we go section by section. This pattern is more consistent with testimonial strategy than with organic memory failure. The subject cannot acknowledge communication with her mother about Dan, custody, or litigation without potentially creating conspiracy evidence of some form. So we have complete avoidance, complete memory failure in the strategic areas where it doesn't suit her, and very clear memory where it does or it's safe ground. So we have different markers, and the I don't remember count just in this section is 8. So we have complete deployment of this pattern on mother-related queries. Part 4, the Miami continuum, advanced positioning. 3 months before Dan Markel's murder, Wendi was added as a resident to her parents' Miami continuum apartment. Observe how she handles questions about this preparation. Background. The parents' Miami property. The prosecutor says, do you remember your parents signing a lease at a place called the Continuum? Wendi. My parents were spent, so she very rarely will answer the question if it doesn't suit. Look how she answers. My parents were spending some time there on the weekends, but they didn't move until 2015 when I was clerking for a judge at the time. Prosecutor. So they signed a lease to have sort of a weekend property. Was that in South Beach? Yes. And does that March of 14 sound right for that? I don't remember when they signed a lease there, but that is possible. She's so annoying. Honestly, before I don't remember is a pattern that often appears when subjects are concealing information. I don't remember. Remember, individual flags, we have to account for baseline. We have to account for the way sometimes people speak, but the individual flags, they add up. And then we get the clusters and the superclusters, and we can determine the statement is deceptive. The critical question, why the continuum? Prosecutor, and do you know why they chose to move into the continuum? I mean, this is about 3-4 months before the murder. Wendi, my brother had a girlfriend that lived there, and he really liked the property, and he thought maybe my parents might like to retire there. So he was suggesting that they start trying someplace other than Coral Springs to retire. She demonstrates awareness of timeline significance by framing it as 3-4 months before the murder. Subjects, again, this is percentage-wise, without guilty knowledge typically don't orient all events around the murder date. Being added as a resident 3 months pre-murder. The prosecutor says, and did your mum add you as a resident to the continuum on May 16th of 2014? Wendi, I don't remember that, but to the continuum, the apartment complex had very high security, and so it may have been that if you wanted someone to come and not be considered a guest, they had to be considered a resident. So here we have the deception. She doesn't feel comfortable with the deception and decides to weaken the statement with all of this. I don't remember that, but, and then the excuses, unnecessary language, reasons why, etc. It's Wendi's deceptive pattern. I don't remember immediately explains why not asked. This indicates defensive justification. She's then shown the document, because this is Wendy's overall pattern that we identified, isn't it? That she's deceptive or lies. The prosecutor is forced to then present her with the evidence, tab 34, tab 54, tab 95. In this case, she says, tab 95, please. And the question is, would you have been considered a resident as of May the 16th of 2014? Wendy. And I don't know. So you want me to see whether in this document I was added as a resident? Here we have the arrogance seeping out of her. Yes, ma'am. Wendy, it looks like I was added and my brother were added, and then my other brother was there in case of emergency, and it was in April of 2014. Prosecutor, April of 2014? Okay. So about 3 months before the murder? Yes. So do you see the same pattern if you've been watching the previous videos? It's denial, it's evidence, it's I don't know, it's more evidence, surrender. You can see that, can't you? The timeline that indicates advanced planning. October 2013, 8 months pre-murder. Charlie allegedly warns you won't be living in Tallahassee much longer. Same day, Wendy backs out of the Tallahassee house purchase and says she can't remember dates. Wendy's response, unreliable non-denial. I don't remember him ever telling me. Do you remember that? So 3 to 4 months pre-murder, parents sign the Miami continuum lease. Wendy and Charlie are added as residents. It's a high security building requiring advanced resident designation, but Wendy doesn't remember being added until she's forced to admit it. The day of the murder, Dan Markel is shot in his garage. Wendy immediately relocates. Exactly as allegedly warned 8 months earlier, she's pre-positioned as a resident months earlier. And if you know about the packing and getting rid of the boyfriend the week before and all those sorts of things, do put them in the comments. So the timeline. If these events were unrelated coincidences, we would expect the subject to explain what actually happened. 2, acknowledgement that timing appears problematic but is coincidental. And 3, confusion about the prosecution's timeline theory. Instead, she claims memory failure at each of the connection points. Isn't she strategic in her memory failures? This pattern is more consistent with connection awareness than with connection absence. It's all too convenient for Wendy that her entire memory failure happens at strategic points and it's total. And yet in all of the safe ground, there's nothing wrong with her memory at all. It's deliberate, it's deceptive. So 10 markers there. The I don't remember count is going up. The grandma motion and inflammatory statements. Oh, let's carry on with the trial for a little bit further, and then we'll come back to these.
That a vast majority of the former husband's motion contains allegations that are redundant, immaterial, impertinent, and scandalous. That sort of language, does that sound familiar?
It doesn't actually sound familiar, but I would have responded in a motion, so I'm sure my attorney filed something.
Did your mom
Are you catching all the cognitive loads?
move around this time?
I don't think so.
Do you remember your
I don't think
parents
so.
signing a lease at a place called the Continuum?
My parents were spending some time there on the weekends, but they didn't move until 2015 when I was clerking for a judge at that time.
All right, so they signed a lease to have sort of a weekend property. Was that in South Beach?
Yes.
Okay, and that does March of 14 sound right for that?
I don't remember when they signed a lease there, but it's possible.
Well, when you ultimately left Tallahassee, which we'll get to, did you go to live at the Continuum or at Coral Springs or somewhere else?
In Miami at the Continuum.
And do you know why they chose to move into the Continuum? I mean, this is about 3-4 months before the murder.
My brother had a girlfriend that lived there, and he really liked the property, and he thought maybe my parents might like to retire there. So he was suggesting that they start trying someplace other than Coral Springs to retire.
And did your mom add you as a resident to the Continuum on May 16th of 2014?
I don't remember that, but to the Continuum, the apartment complex had very high security.
Are you catching it all?
And so it may have been that if you wanted someone to come and not be considered a guest, they had to be considered a resident.
Okay, tab 95, please. And the question is, would you have been considered a resident as of May 16th of 2014?
And I don't know, so you want me to see whether on this document I was added as a resident?
Yes, ma'am.
It looks like I was added and my brother were added, and then my other brother was the in case of emergency, and it was in April of 2014.
April of 2014. Okay, so about 3 months before the murder?
Yes.
And that was just so that you could come and go whenever you were visiting?
That was my understanding.
Do you recall a motion being filed by Dan Markel that we've referred to as the grandma motion?
No.
Did Dan Markel in March 26th of 2014 file a motion seeking to preclude your mother from having unsupervised contact with your kids?
I don't remember him filing that motion.
I don't remember.
It sounds like if it's a motion you have a name for, then it exists.
And in that motion, do you recall?
She's doing the mouth open thing.
That he was saying, Grandma, the boys were telling him, Grandma says you're stupid, Grandma says she hates you, and as a result, he was concerned about your mom.
This is a sensitive part. She's doing the mouth open, head tilts.
Okay. And that is a motion that was never got to be heard, right?
That was part of the motion to enforce the settlement agreement.
But which was never heard.
Which was never heard.
Because he was killed.
Because, yes.
And do you remember why you didn't forward your mom the actual motion that was filed in reference to that?
I don't.
Okay.
So that's an unreliable denial. She couldn't complete the sentence.
Can you find tab 98 in the back there, please?
I have tab 98.
Okay.
What happens when you lie, Wendy? You get given a tab.
Which is, where was your mom on the day that the relocation was filed? Which, for your reference, was 3/26/14.
So this email is from 3/25/14, and it looks like my parents were coming up. It says coming on Thursday, and this was written Tuesday the 25th. So my guess is that they were coming on Thursday the 27th.
And was it their practice to typically stop in Orlando and spend the night on the trip up to Tallahassee?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Don't remember.
The allegations that are laid out in Dan Markel's motion were sent to you in an email before the motion was ever filed. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
No, don't remember that.
64AA, a December 16th, 2013 email. This email indicates that Dan Markel is going to be introducing a major issue, grandparental alienation. This will be part of our ongoing effort to resolve outstanding issues.
Don't remember this bit.
But basically, at the bottom there, Ben announced to me, Abba. What does Abba mean?
It's Abba.
Oh, I remember
it
that
means
bit.
Father in Hebrew.
Father. Grandma says you're stupid. Okay, and he details a couple, I think it's 3 different instances in which his boys have told him that Grandma, your mother, has told them that you're trying to take my sunshines away, she hates you, that sort of thing. Does this refresh your memory at all about those allegations?
It does.
Okay.
Oh, suddenly.
And this email, you did forward this email to your mother. Do you recall that?
I don't recall that, but it makes sense that I would have.
And your mom responded to it, or someone responded to it. Wow. Do you remember that?
That's Dan's father.
I was shown that email yesterday.
Okay. And you forwarded that email not only to your mom, but to a total of 12 different people. Do you remember that?
I remember being very surprised that he was trying to accuse a member of the Florida bar of fraud and going to all these lengths to avoid paying money.
You weren't
that he owed
asked
me.
this question.
Okay. And is that the reason why you sent it to the 12 people?
It was pretty shocking what he was doing.
Did your mom respond at all to that allegation regarding her alienating the kids?
I don't remember a response other than the one I was shown that said wow, but I don't know if that was my dad responding or my mom responding.
But the allegation was in reference to your mom, right?
The allegation was in reference to my mom.
Okay. And in fact, the next day, because the parenting coordinator was in on the original thread, you forwarded the email a second time to your mom, didn't you, with the parenting coordinator's
Remember
response.
that?
Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, but
No,
it makes
don't
sense that I
remember that.
would have forwarded it.
Do you remember just a couple months before the death of Dan Markel saying to a friend of yours, I think her name is Jane, does that sound familiar?
Ah,
I have a
Jane.
name Jane.
Telling Jane, quote, Danny is a monster.
Remember that?
Overruled, the witness may testify based on her memory.
I don't remember
No, don't remember
telling
that.
Jane that I
No.
thought Danny was a monster.
Okay, was Jane one of the people you forwarded the email to? Dan's email?
Don't remember that.
remember.
No, no.
But it was the same day that you called him a monster. Do you remember that?
I don't.
No, no.
I want to talk a little bit about your brother Charlie.
Don't remember that bit.
Judge, I don't know if you're wanting a recess.
Okay, let's quickly catch up then. Where are we? So, the grandma motion and inflammatory statements. Dan's concerns about Donna. In March 2014, 4 months before the murder, Dan Markel filed a motion seeking to restrict Donna's access to the children. I mean, she was poisoning them, wasn't she? Can you imagine the absolute nightmare of this narcissistic, insane grandmother with the grandchildren? Planning and plotting the murder of their dad. The prosecutor says, do you recall a motion being filed by Dan Markel that we refer to as the grandma motion? Nope, don't remember that. Prosecutor, did Dan Markel in March 26, 2014, file a motion seeking to preclude your mother from having unsupervised contact with your kids? Wendi, I don't remember him filing that motion. No, don't remember that one. But it sounds like if it's a motion you have a name for, then it exists. Okay, so for those who have been following and learning with VEROSCOPE, we have the French accent, don't we? You should understand what we mean by that. In other words, it's the deception language that Wendi uses begins to sound like an accent. So I don't remember him filing that motion, but she's always uncomfortable with the lie. But it sounds like if it's a motion you have a name for, then it exists. This is Wendy's way of not feeling awful when she delivers the barefaced lie. But it just makes it her signature, makes it even worse for her. She might as well set up a balloon and every time she lies, raise the helium balloon, because it's almost as good. It's the same signature. Pattern. She first says no, doesn't she? Then she shifts to I don't remember. And then if given the tab, she'll suddenly remember. She surrenders when challenged. The email about Donna and the children. The prosecutor says, this email indicates that Dan Markel is going to be introducing a major issue, the grandparental alienation. ABBA. Grandma says you're stupid. Does this refresh your memory at all about those allegations? It does. And this email, you did forward this email to your mother. Do you recall that? I don't recall that, but it makes sense that I would have. Always the same, isn't it? I don't recall that. The barefaced lie. She feels uncomfortable, says, but here we have that classic I pattern that we've come to know so well. It makes sense that I would have. So this is the way that when Wendi feels so awful about presenting the barefaced lie, she does this. Wendi's fairly consistent in the way that she's deceptive. I don't recall, which is different than I can't recall. Remember that? We covered that in a previous episode. Then acknowledges she probably did. This is the standard deny until show evidence pattern of Wendi. The prosecutor says, and you forwarded that email not only to your mum, but to a total of 12 different people. Do you remember that? Wendi, I remember being very surprised that he was trying to accuse a member of the Florida bar of fraud and going to all these lanes to avoid paying money that he owed me. So she doesn't want to answer the question. She wants to get her sermonizing in. Doesn't answer the question, deflects to Dan's behavior, justifies her own actions. It's unprompted. So we have all sorts of principles of statement analysis in there, from breaking the rule of economy, to unnecessary language, to deflection, Dan's behavior, not her behavior, avoiding the question, answering a different question, all sorts of deception markers. So in they go, all the flags go in. Calling Dan a monster. Months before Dan's murder, Wendi allegedly called him a monster to her wonderful friend Jane, who, if you haven't seen the police interrogation videos on Wendi on the VEROSCOPE channel, please go and check those out, where she meets her friend Jane. Quite a strange meeting, that one. Observe her response when confronted about calling Dan a monster to Jane. Do you remember, just a couple of months before the death of Dan Markel, saying to a friend of yours, I think her name is Jane, telling Jane, quote, Danny is a monster? Wendi, I don't remember telling Jane that I thought Danny was a monster. The prosecutor, was Jane one of the people you forwarded the email to, Dan's email? Wendi, I don't remember. Prosecutor, but it was the same day that you called him a monster. You remember that? No, I don't. There we are, Wendi. The information withholding pattern, tier 1 deception. 3 consecutives I don't remember responses about inflammatory statements that may be corroborated by the friend's testimony. Why this pattern is significant. The friend Jane may testify to the monster comment. Email forwarding is verifiable from records. Wendi is avoiding acknowledging what later may be verified. And this suggests awareness of how statements appear in context of the subsequent murder. So, high don't remember count from Wendi in this section. Baseline deviation, complete pattern shift on all critical topics. So she only does this when it's necessary for her to lie. And that pattern of consistency is in itself the indicator of consciousness of guilt. So evidence convergence, patterns indicating high probability of concealment. We've identified 16 convergent linguistic patterns just in this section, mind you, across three major evidence clusters. Here's how they connect. Cluster 1, remember we always look for clusters. October 31st, 2013 convergence, 8 months pre-murder. Unreliable non-denial, remember that? The unreliable non-denial. She cannot say brother never warned her. It's an unusual linguistic construction. All of Wendy's denials are unreliable. She cannot complete full, reliable denials. Information withholding. Perfect memory on photo, amnesia on warning. Time precision shift. She's exact on certain dates and times, vague on house backing out. So where it suits, perfect memory. Where it doesn't suit, all very vague and don't remembers. Wrong tense. I really wanted. We see lots of fragmentation under stress. We're not even identifying all of them anymore because it's just constant and common. Priority disorder focuses on wanting house, not addressing the warning accusation. Charlie's warning cannot be denied using standard denial language. The timeline indicates plan formation 8 months before the murder. Mother-related query pattern, information withholding, complete amnesia correlation on mother-related queries, vague flexibility. On all Donna questions, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't remember. It's constant. It's strategic. We have binary precision. It's a systematic pattern around the mother. She cannot acknowledge communications that might indicate conspiracy awareness. And Wendi, being a lawyer, she's aware of what the prosecutor is doing, and she's essentially blocking off the path, even though it's obvious that she's lying. Cluster 3, timeline positioning evidence. Time awareness consistently references months before murder. Information withholding. Don't remember being added as a Miami resident. Unrequested justification explains continuum security unprompted. Minimization, just so I could come and go, of course, no, not for any other reason, just so I could come and go. Passive construction, I was added, removes agency. There's so many linguistic markers. Do point them out in the comments. We're only pointing out perhaps 10% of them. Family positioned Miami relocation 3 months before the murder. Do put in the comments if you're aware of her pre-packing and getting ready for the move. Advanced positioning consistent with foreknowledge. So perfect memory where it's safe. Katie's name, the photograph, Hebrew vocabulary, all the dates from the document, safe procedural facts. No problem with her memory. But total amnesia, Charlie's warning, house backing out timing, mother communications, being added as a resident, calling Dan a monster, it's constant. This binary precision is inconsistent with organic memory failure patterns. And we're only dealing with, what, 10 minutes of testimony here? Analytical assessment. The linguistic evidence indicates with high probability that Wendi Adelson had advanced knowledge of plans involving Dan Markel's murder and subsequent family relocation. High probability is what I'm seeing. Evidence summary. And just on this section, 16 convergent linguistic patterns, including 9 tier 1, highly reliable deception indicators. We have her unreliable non-denial. We have that binary memory pattern. We have complete baseline deviation, timeline convergence, systematic mother protection, Time awareness. Time is very, very important. Consistently orients events months before the murder. Wendi Adelson's inability to deny her brother's October 2013 warning using standard denial language is highly significant. Her inability to acknowledge mother's involvement suggests awareness of conspiracy. I love that. Mother's involvement suggests awareness of conspiracy relevant communications. Her inability to explain the timeline, except through claimed memory failures, indicates the connections are fully understood by Wendi. The linguistic patterns are consistent with sophisticated testimonial preparation designed to avoid perjury while concealing information. The evidence quality is sufficient to support serious investigative interest. The linguistic patterns indicate deception with high probability, advanced knowledge. I think we see advanced knowledge in Wendi. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's Veroscope. If you enjoyed it, please do subscribe. Don't forget the trial channel as well. Do subscribe to the trial channel. And I look forward to see you in the next Veroscope. And we might as well continue with Wendi and get to the end of the examination by Georgia in her mother's trial, Donna's trial. And then we'll carry on with some of the other witnesses and some of the other cases. Okay, look forward to chat with you in the comments.